A very, very good evening to you all viewers, wherever you are joining me from this evening or this afternoon, or in some countries like Australia. It's early in the morning, I guess. Some Arab countries as well are way ahead of us, but thank you so much for joining us. Happy Father's Day, wherever you are celebrating your children's father or your own father or your grandfathers. Happy Father's Day to all the men for their hard work. All right, so thank you for joining us tonight. Just permit me to take you through the a few announcements. Just in case you are wondering, who am I? Let me introduce myself once again. My name is Pastor Floris Lyman. I am a mother. I am an author. I've done my first book, My Baby, and I am an assistant head of learning in a secondary school. I am a daughter in the kingdom of the Most High Father, and I'm also a host. Also, talking about my book. Yes, that's my first copy out there. If you would like to get your copy, don't judge me. I'm a single parent. That's my book. There, you can get it from me if you send me an email or if you make your payments and just send me a message or a WhatsApp, and I will sign it and post it to you immediately. You can also get it on Amazon if that's your preferred method of use. Also, just to let you know, we will be on very soon. Stay tuned. Apologies once again for starting a bit late. We were just sorting out our back offices. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you very, very much. Well, I'm not going to take your time, too much of your time tonight. We have such a hot discussion tonight, and I believe that this is affecting a lot of people. But just before we do that, remember that we are streaming. We're streaming on YouTube and also here on Facebook. So please do share. Please do share this chat so that others can be a blessing, so that it can be beneficial also to others. So please do remember to share, like, and share, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you very, very much. And I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much. Well, tonight, as you can see, our title is Childhood Trauma. Childhood Trauma. I'm sure this is good because maybe for some people, especially for some of us from Afro-Caribbean background, some of us don't even know what the meaning of trauma is. So maybe we want to start looking at the meaning of trauma, before I bring on my guests, because you want to know what trauma means. And also, we will look, even though we are focusing on childhood trauma today, but again, there are different kinds of trauma. So, I'm sure you might be wondering why my guest is passionate about this topic. Well, that's why we have her on here. She's going to be taking us through, and I'm encouraging as many of us, as we have the discussion this evening, for you to have an open mind, for you to be flexible, for you to make room, and I really want to pray that the Lord will begin to touch places that are hidden in our lives that maybe we've not visited, we've not even sought help, and it's still there, is eating us bit by bit, that the Lord will just create an avenue. The Lord will release you to start thinking and dealing about those situations instead of just leaving them lying down there, because failure to do something means, it can reoccur. It's going to keep happening, and it's going to keep happening. And we don't want our lives to be disrupted all the time. So, without further ado, I am going to welcome our guest this evening, by no other person other than Lady Florence Henry. Miss Henry, say hi to our viewers.
Hi, good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us on this this hot topic on childhood trauma. Pastor Flores, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on your platform to share my story and talk to the viewers about trauma. And so, without further ado, my name is Florence Henry, and by profession, I am in the education sector and I work in the intervention and I help to manage children with challenging behavior and also implement strategies on managing behavior in the classroom. I am also into skincare and makeup. For some of those of you who follow me on my page, I am into beauty. Yeah, so for the nature of this show, we're going to be talking about childhood trauma. So, childhood trauma. Why am I so passionate about childhood trauma? I am passionate about childhood trauma because of my own personal experiences. Trauma is something that is very, very dear to me, and not even just trauma in itself, but the effects, how if you don't deal with your childhood issues and experiences, um, they stay with you and they filter through into adulthood. And based on my own experiences, that is why I've decided to share my story and also help people to heal, recover from trauma. And also, first of all, you need to be able to identify that you're still um, ex- struggling with issues of trauma before you can deal with the issues outright.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Like I said earlier on, um, can we define trauma? Can we just define trauma for the benefit of some viewers that you'll be surprised maybe somebody is there and they never heard what the meaning of trauma is? Yeah.
Okay, yes, I can do that, Pastor Flourish. So, trauma is, well, we're talking about childhood. We experience many types of trauma, but
Hmm.
for the nature of this program, I'm going to be talking about and defining childhood trauma. So, childhood trauma is a scary something that puts an experience a child has witnessed that is either scary and puts the child in a state of perpetual fear, something that maybe a child has witnessed, something that's happened, maybe a loss, a parent is it has left there, maybe the parent is working, but basically it's an experience that a child experiences that puts them in a state of fear and shock. And what happens is these experiences get trapped in the system, in the nervous system. So yeah, so that's trauma. So it's a scary experience, an experience that a child has witnessed or seen, and they're unable to process. So it gets stuck in the system, and it's like shock to the system, and it just stays with them until obviously you go through life with those experiences. You're not dealing with it. You shut down basically. Yeah.
Wow. So, um, are we saying here that a lot of us, even though we are adults now, a lot of us might have gone through trauma when we were children, knowingly and unknowingly? And maybe some of the things that we are going through right now might be down to childhood trauma, but we never knew about. Now, the reason why I'm saying this, especially for those of us from Afro Caribbean background, because I was growing up back home. I don't know. I knew what trauma was. I must have gone through, seasons of stress and maybe even frustration, depression, and it was unexplainable because we did not used to talk about those things.
Mm,
So I'm glad that now are the days that at least we are given the liberty and the freedom to speak, because still some people, for traditional reasons and for stigma and for shame, don't want to talk about things like this. So I'm really happy that and I'm privileged, and I'm sure the viewers are privileged that this is the whole point for having these conversations. You know, people need to be set free. People need to be encouraged to come out that they are not on their own. Somebody like you that is passionate about this, you are not only passionate because you want to be passionate, but because some of the things you have experienced, and you are coming out, you know, little by little. It's taken a long step. And also, you want to make sure, you want to let others be aware that if you've gone through this, you know, there is a way out. So, please take us back. What do you think are the causes? What are some of the causes of childhood trauma? What are some of the causes before we move on to maybe the symptoms and the impacts? Yeah, the causes.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah. So the causes, some of the causes of childhood trauma could be abandonment. So basically, if a parent leaves you, not intentionally, but if a parent goes away for a long time, or a parent leaves, the abandonment of you feeling, and a lot of the time we tend to think that it's our fault, and that's where the problem is.
So true.
Yeah, that's what the cause is, because you tend to think that even though our parents have their own challenges, they've got their own reasons for why they leave or they have to leave the home. You tend, as a child, you're not going to process that maybe they have their issues or their challenges. You're going to think, oh, maybe it's my fault that they left. And that in itself is traumatizing. And as I said, if you don't deal with that, you basically shut down, you know, because especially if you're not taught how to process information, you're not sorry, not information. If you're not taught how to process experiences that you go through, you shut down, because it's like a coping mechanism for a child. You shut down and to protect yourself from further hurt. So yes, so if a parent leaves, whether long or short, that's you abandonment issues right there. Neglect, you've got neglect, emotional neglect, where you feel like maybe parents working long hours and you're not getting your emotional needs met. It's traumatizing for a child to just feel like your primary caregivers, the person that's supposed to, your mother, nurture you and soothe you and give you that reassurance, and your father, who's supposed to be there to protect you and teach you how to be strong in society and life. If you don't get those things, you basically shut down and
Wow.
yourself.
Okay.
Your needs
Let's
are not
just
met.
have a pause there because
Yeah, your needs are not being met.
you know what? For us parents, today, we're celebrating Father's Day and all of these things. But even as we're doing the celebration, I believe you have many children, you have many mothers, many wives, you have many partners that are unable to celebrate those fathers for various reasons. I can imagine the trauma that the children are unable to celebrate their fathers for and the thing is, imagine that child complaining that mommy, you're not there for me, daddy, you're not there for me. Then the parents go, but that's why we are going to work so that we can make a living. But meanwhile, it's having not been there. Now you see, we have to find the balance, because not being there is not the problem, but not being constantly there is also equally a problem. That's causing that child trauma. Boy, oh boy, neglect is a trauma. So if you are going through divorce, as parents, you're separated, the child is traumatized. If you're fighting, the child experiencing mom kicking dad, dad kicking mom, there is fights and you're quarreling constantly, that traumatizes the child. Oh Lord, have mercy.
And also you've got the part whereby your parents are there physically, but emotionally the parent is not there. So you can have an issue whereby an experience whereby you're going to your mum to talk to her, or your father, and they're saying, go away, go to your room. That in itself, because you don't know what the child is going through, you don't know what the child wants to speak about, why they've gone to you. And for that mere reason that the parents say, go away, especially from African culture. I'm not stigmatizing our culture, but a lot of the times it's like, go away, go away. And then you go to your room, and that is traumatizing. And, but I would always say, our parents, God bless them, they didn't know, they didn't know that this is the impact that it's going to be having on the child. Otherwise, they would do different. Our parents raise us the best way that they feel that they need to raise us based on their own upbringing. So you cannot give what you do not have, So therefore, you do what you can, based on your own call of judgment. And that is how we were raised, So those things, being there present, but not emotionally, is traumatizing for a child. The child is not getting their needs met, especially from the primary caregiver or the parent that you expect to nurture you, soothe you, calm you, say everything is going to be okay. If you don't get that, then not only do you feel neglected, you feel like the world is, when you eventually go out, you feel like the world is a dangerous and scary place because you've not got that safety net, So yeah, it's quite sensitive. It's sensitive, and that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to bring more awareness to this subject, because of my own personal experiences. And I'm not blaming my parents, because obviously they didn't know. They did what they could do best. And so therefore, it's not about anybody's fault. It's not about blaming them. It is what it is. And we just have to just look forward on a positive note.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. So it's I being a parent, it just makes me, I've been thinking about this even before today. I've just been thinking about areas where maybe my children would have been traumatized without me knowing. Now, for example, for my case, they lost their dad. So I believe no matter how they've tried to be lively or whatever, they've had times where they have gone through trauma. Definitely. So the loss of a loved one, what about even sexual and emotional abuse and physical abuse? Oh my days, I don't know if that's part of it, because I was looking at the different categories. You have acute, you have chronic, and you have the complex trauma, things like beating. Please, I'm appealing to us parents. Let's find other means of punishing. We all used to, we were good at that back home, but now that we are here, I believe that's one way that, a lot of us are struggling to find other ways of discipline. But it really, it makes the child loses their confidence, their self-esteem. It's so much. This childhood trauma thing. I've been reading about it since our preparation for today, and I'm just struck by a lot of things. And because I work with young people, I began to see and began to understand why some of our young people will behave in a certain way. And sometimes, even for us as adults, we don't understand. We don't understand when that child is seeking so much attention. They might be traumatized because they don't have attention. They don't have love at home. You might be giving that child all the best gadgets and everything that they need, but they are still traumatized. Wow. Thank you so much. Continue. I know we are not, going too deep today with your experience, but based on some of the things that you went to, like you said, you're not blaming your parents, because as parents, every parent in their head is thinking that they are doing what is best for their child. But in the process, sometimes trauma is caused without knowing it. And that can take somebody through the various stages in their lives as they grow up if we are not careful.
Oh, yeah.
What are some of the symptoms? So let me say, how will I know if a child is traumatized? Because somebody will say, but how will you know? I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical practitioner, but especially if you're working with vulnerable people, and we all have a duty of care. We all have a duty of care to make sure somebody is learning in a safe environment. Even as parents, we have a duty of care. And sometimes we have seen our children struggle, but we refuse to seek help. We refuse to go to the GP. Even as much as, for example, I'm a believer. I believe in prayer. I pray alongside everything. But God has blessed others with wisdom. They are professionals who have been trained, who can help alongside. And sometimes we prefer to keep things to ourselves and we don't see anything. But we have a duty of care and responsibility for every child that we need to be looking out for signs. What are some of the symptoms of childhood trauma?
Okay, yeah. So some of the symptoms of childhood trauma could be a child could be withdrawn. So very withdrawn, very within themselves, very like don't want to talk, don't want to mix with other children, and just spend a lot of the time by themselves in their room. Another one is behavior problem. I mean, I work in school and in the intervention, and a lot of children with challenging behavior. I understand it myself because of my own personal experiences. A lot of teachers will call the children naughty, or that child's being naughty. But it's children find it very difficult to express themselves, and sometimes they don't even understand. I mean, I didn't understand what was happening with me as a child. So I can totally relate with these children. I understand it well because of my own personal experiences. But a child's learning could be impacted. So a child could be in the classroom and they're just being disruptive, throwing things.
Not focused.
Yeah, lack of focus, very low attention span, wanting to be disrupting the other children. And it's all a sign of attention, like attention seeking. So they're looking for someone. Maybe they're not getting that attention at home. So the school is the next place because home is your primary, home is where you get your primary care and school is secondary. So the next place you're going to go where you feel like maybe somebody will listen to me is the school. So, yeah, withdrawn, disruptive behavior. Some children may experience anxiety, sad, emotional, so not able to manage their emotions, So there's that aspect of it. But there are a lot. There's a big list. But I've just taken some of the few common ones, especially with me. My learning was impacted because of what I experienced, especially when my dad left. He went to Nigeria for 4 years. I didn't know what he went for, and I'm not blaming him because I don't know what was going on in the home at that time. As children, we're not really focused on those things. We're children. But my dad left for whatever reason, and as I said, I'm not blaming him. It's not his fault. But for me, after he left, I was traumatized. It's like when I went to school, I didn't do any work. And I was misbehaving. I would say I needed maybe support with somebody that had challenging behavior. However, at that time when we were in school, that wasn't unheard of. If you had challenging behavior, you misbehaving, what the teacher did is put you at the back of the class.
I'll give you detention.
Yeah, put you at the back of the class.
I'll call your parents on top of the matter.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. But now in schools, it's a lot bit different because you've got safeguarding, you've got children's welfare, you've got well-being. Yeah. There's lots of things in place for children who are experiencing difficulties. So that's some of the symptoms if you are somebody who is traumatized.
So really, this is for us again as parents, because some of us, our children are losing it. Seek help from the school. I've said this before that don't be scared of social services, because the reason why sometimes as parents we don't want to go, they say, social service is going to take your child from me. No, social services will only take a child where they really feel and they are convinced that that child is at risk.
Yeah.
But they will dig in what they need to dig in. They will do their probing. They will do all their findings. And if they see that there is no issues, they will restore the role of the social service is to, back then I used not to see them like that. You hear all these negative things about, yeah, there have been few mistakes here and there, but their role is to provide the best services for the young person and also for the family, with regards to that. So please, if you're struggling as a parent, if your child is struggling, refer them to school, speak to the head of year, speak to the teacher, speak to their form tutor, speak to the counselor, speak to the safeguarding team. There is so much available for your child, and also just for us as parents to be aware of some of the actions and some of the things that we might be involved in that is causing trauma to our children, unknowing to us. The things we've mentioned before. If you're going through divorce and separation, please handle it with care. As bitter and painful that it can be, handle it with care. Yes, the children are in it, but don't let the children be involved in it. Let the children be children, because it's so much. If you're struggling, I remember somebody said this to me once: if you're having your personal issues, you don't have to dump it all on on your children, because the thing is, they are children as well. And sometimes we say to them, oh, don't you understand? Don't you understand? Hell no, they are not going to understand, because that's where they are at. How were you? Give us some tips on how you were growing up, or how some of those causes impacted you when you were
Ooh.
growing up. Yeah.
Oh, goodness me. How was I as a child?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, as a child, I was fearful of everything. I was very timid. Because imagine if you feel like, my mum was working. Obviously, she was working to provide for the home. My dad had traveled most of the time. And, you're just left with your older sibling. My older sibling did a great job. However, it's not the same as your parent being there for you to reassure you. When you're experiencing something, maybe sometimes you need reassurance. You need, someone to soothe you, someone to nurture you. So I was very timid. I was a very fearful person, scared of everyone, scared of everything. I just wanted to just make everybody happy. And yeah, that's how I lived my life, in a state of
Wow.
perpetual fear. That's where it put me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when did you actually, before I go to that, I wanted to ask a question as to when did you start realizing that you had gone through trauma? At what age did you start realizing that, okay, I must have been traumatized? Or maybe, like you said, because you were in it, you never saw it like it was an issue. So when did you start seeing it like, okay, it was an issue?
Okay. And that's an interesting one. I didn't start seeing that my trauma had impacted me until adulthood. So I was well
Ooh.
into my 30s, 40, before I realized that, okay, actually, this is to do with trauma. When you find your relationships are being affected, everything about you, like, you're argumentative, you're reactive, and you're just not able to manage your emotions.
Wow.
Then I started to look into myself.
Let me just come in. Let me just come in there. I think it just takes me to the question that I had about the impact of childhood trauma on an individual on a short term or a long term basis. So you've just mentioned that you discovered in your adulthood. So that's actually a long term. So which means you even went into marriage,
Yes.
and that's when you started, because of your mannerisms of how you were behaving, in the relationship, and as obviously as a result of what you were receiving from your partner as well. Then everything started adding up. That, oh, the lines started adding up. Connections were being made to your past. Wow. So a lot of us might be in that situation right now, which means as a result of trauma that we've had in the past, we've carried it on into our relationships right now. And some of the issues that our relationships might be going through is as a result of a transfer of that, and not identifying it at an earlier stage. There was no early intervention. So now that's causing an impact. So if, wow, right, go on.
Yeah, so there's just lots of things that trauma impacts. Even when your relationships, you go into a marriage or a relationship, and that's also dysfunctional because, to be honest, when you've suffered trauma, you're a dysfunctional person. It makes you dysfunctional. It makes you, especially if you're not taught how to process emotions, if you're not taught how to manage your emotions. Like, obviously I wasn't taught how to manage my emotions. So you're like an emotional roller coaster. You're up and down, you know. So it just has an impact on every aspect of your life, every area, your work, your relationship. You find it difficult to hold down like true friendships, you know. Everything seems to be a fight. Everything seems to be a battle, you know. Everything
What
seems to
about
be a battle.
trust?
Yeah, that's a big one as well. That's a big one. The trust issue, especially if you've been in a situation where you feel abandoned or neglected. And as I said, if your primary caregivers who you trust or you're supposed to trust are not there for you, as I said, not intentionally, for whatever reason, maybe, as I said, my mum was working long hours and my dad traveled for basically business or whatever reasons. But he left. For me, he left. He left me, and I thought it was my fault. That in itself, how can you you trust anybody when your primary caregivers are the first people that are supposed to teach you about trust? And you just have this belief within yourself that nothing is trustworthy. The world is a very dangerous and unsafe place. You
Wow.
know? Yeah.
I believe it can make someone to be edgy as well. It's like any little thing somebody does, you feel it's about you, or yeah, the trust thing is really because then you're worried about what the person is doing next to you or what's going to happen. You're even worried about the future that you've not seen yet. Oh wow. So do you believe that one can be healed of trauma completely? What are the coping mechanisms? I'm sure there are professional ways and there are also non-traditional ways. There are various ways, and I believe everybody has a way that they have coped. So we are not pinning one particular thing here to say this is it. We are not the psychiatrists, we are not the professionals, but based on experiences and things that we have read from the professionals, I believe we are able, and based on your own personal experience, do you believe that somebody can come out of trauma completely?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But before I go into like how you can overcome and heal from trauma, there are the long-term effects, which
Mm-hmm.
is affected me, like PTSD, post traumatic stress
Traumatic stress
disorder.
syndrome.
Yeah, there's if you find you're depressed, a lot of the times, if you're going through anxiety, you've got behavior problems because you can have behavior problems as an adult, irrational behavior, and you're very reactive. Do you get hurt when someone rejects you? Do you get upset? Because that used to happen to me a lot. If I
Hmm.
feel rejected, and a lot of the time it's not about you, it's not about you, it's about that actual person. But because we've already got that wound and that hurt within us, we think it's about us. Yes, so those are some of the long-term effects of childhood trauma and emotional, managing your emotions. You find it difficult to manage your emotions. As I say, you find it difficult to regulate yourself, and you have to learn those things. So yeah, you can overcome trauma. Of course you can, but it's a journey. Because what I
Yeah.
had to do is I had to go on a journey of self-discovery. I had to find who I was first.
Hmm.
But once you're aware that it's childhood trauma that you're still struggling with, then that awareness that, okay, number one, that's a big light bulb. That was a big light bulb moment for me. Awareness. So once you're aware, then you can take yourself on a journey of self-discovery, and then you work back to find out, what it is that's causing you, because a lot of the time with trauma, childhood trauma, you pick up limiting beliefs about yourself and your
Yep.
self-image. So you feel like you're not good enough, you're not worthy.
See how beautiful you look.
This
How
is
beautiful you look. How beautifully laid out you are. You've worked so much on yourself. I
I
was
have.
just going to ask about that. How did you manage to work on your image, your self-image? And obviously you're talking about it now. It's so, so important to know who you are, and to be able to get yourself out of all those negative things that you have said about yourself, you have thought about yourself. If you don't remove what you feel about yourself, you won't be able to remove what others have said about you. As hurtful as it can be, with all the marks that we carry, the negative marks that we carry, the negative comments, all of those things, it depends on what we believe about ourselves. So that discovery about yourself is so, 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 so important. Thank you. Carry on.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah, so I went on a journey of self-discovery to find out who I am. And, also I'm a Christian, so that helped me a lot, being in Christ, to gain an identity about who I am, that my identity doesn't come from like the things of this world, but it comes from being like God loves me. Just to know that God loves me is very, very important, So there's that aspect. And then you've got, your own work that you need to do. So you need to really, once, as I said, number one, you get an awareness, light bulb moment. Number two, you have to acknowledge that something is wrong, first of all. You definitely need to acknowledge. If you don't have acknowledgement, if that's one way through. So you acknowledge that, there's an issue there that needs to be resolved. And then you get to work. So how do you get to work? So you now start to, well, what I did, I'm going to show you what I did. Once I had awareness, and then I acknowledged that something wasn't quite right, and then I went on this journey of self-discovery. What I did is I took a bit of paper, and then I sat with myself, as scary as it may be. I sat with myself, and then you now ask yourself questions, because you have to ask yourself, what is it? So you need to take yourself right back to some of your experiences, if you can remember, and then write them down. So, I wrote them. I went back to, when my dad went to Nigeria for 4 years. My dad left, abandonment issues. Okay, so that's why I feel like everybody's going to leave me.
Abandon you.
Yeah, you feel like everybody's going to leave you, like your friendships, marriage, whatever you're in. I kept feeling like that people are going to abandon me the same way as my father abandoned. Well, he didn't abandon me. I felt abandoned. And then neglect. Okay, so how were you neglected? My mom was always working. So you now start to unpack, all those issues that you can remember. Some you may not remember, but the ones that you can remember, you start to unpack. You write them down. And sometimes, as they say, as painful as it may be, you need to sit with those emotions. Because, a lot of the times when we've gone through trauma, a lot of the time it's difficult to face painful emotions. So we tend to run away. We tend to do something to avoid facing the truth, because it's the truth. And you're not gonna, if you don't face, the trauma, the experiences that have hurt you from your past, you're not going to be able to move forward. This can in fact keep you stuck. Like it did for me, it kept me stuck. Because I just kept saying to myself, I know that I should be doing more than this. I should be more than where am I? Why am I behaving this way in certain situations? And it's because of unresolved trauma. So we need to unpack. And as I said, you can do this on your own if you feel comfortable to do it on your own. Or you can get yourself, first of all, you can find somebody who you trust, that you can confide in, a trusted person, or get yourself a network. Maybe if you're in a church, you can talk to your pastor, Or if you're not in a church, you can just talk to somebody that you trust. And then when you've done that, then you now start to journal and get it all on paper. They said that there's a magic in things that have come out, because then it's not in your head. As we speak in the nervous system, that is why it's constantly in a state of fear.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's stored in the nervous system. And if that's shut down, then of course you're going to be nervous. You're going to be panicking. But it's also stored in our subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the driving force. It's the ruler, isn't it, of everything. So so unpacking, being, acknowledging, unpacking. Once you've done that, get all the emotions out. You now need to sit with yourself. You need to sit with yourself again, and you need to forgive yourself. Very, very key. Yourself.
Because self-blame can happen a lot. Blaming yourself for even the things that you didn't do. You're blaming yourself.
Yeah. Be compassionate to yourself. Show yourself kindness when you're going through this journey. Be gentle to yourself, because it's your journey, it's your experience, and your walk of discovery to self. So once you've done that, and then you also probably need to forgive the people that you feel that have traumatized you. It could be your parents, it could be anybody who you feel has traumatized you. You need to also forgive them, because the forgiveness is not about them, it's more about you, so that you can move on, and you can live life to the fullest. So once you've done that, you've forgiven yourself. And remember, this is a daily work. It's never ending. It's never ending. I'm still working on myself. I can't let myself guard down. I still have to be doing that daily work. It's a journey. It never ends, because it's taken me so long I've been holding on to that trauma for so long, for so many years. It's going to take you just as long to recover. However, you can heal. You just learn how to manage situations in a better way. You just learn how to deal with situations. So once you've done that, you've forgiven yourself and whoever's traumatized you, then you now accept. So acceptance is where the healing comes. So you accept that, okay, so there's a problem there, and I'm working on it. I'm working on resolving those issues. Then you accept. Once you accept, then that's liberating in itself. And this is where I am at. I'm in a place of liberation now. Although I'm still working on myself, I am aware of the signs now, because you become more aware of how you respond to situations. So instead of me running off or trying to dismiss any emotions that are showing up, I sit with my emotions. I acknowledge myself. I acknowledge my emotions. I acknowledge what I'm going through, and I do a lot of journaling. So even if you don't want to talk to somebody about what you're going through, your experiences, you can do journaling. Yeah. Documenting things down. There's a magic. Get from there onto paper. And then
we're actually talking about that today after our service, that there is power in writing things down. Don't just keep everything in there. It's good to release, to bring out stuff. Thank you so much. I was just checking the comments. Thank you, Minister Carol. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Please do remember to share this program. Mr. Carol said healing is a process. He said, God bless you for unveiling your story, because it really takes boldness to be able to come out to encourage others. Number one secret is to forgive yourself. Yes, there is power in journaling on paper. And she said, you're right. You need to deal with the emotions. And what Lady Florence has said here today, everybody might have their way, but just for us to know that there are various ways: traditional, professional ways, non-traditional ways, other holistic ways. Some people go for meditation. Some people do just prayer only if that's what your faith requires you to do. They are professionals. You can go see your GP, you can see a counselor. Some people have said that, their counseling made things worse. Try other methods of therapies, but do do the needful to get you out, because the earlier the better, so that things are not coming back trying to haunt us. Wow, I can see that our time is so well spent. Lady Florence, just before, because I want us to talk about one more thing. Just before, thank you so much. You look so good. You look so fabulous.
Thank
You've
you.
worked on yourself, and I pray that the Lord will continue to beautify you. He gives us beauty for ashes, and I pray that many of us who are there holding on, we will begin to let go. We'll begin to forgive ourselves. We'll begin to journal those things. We'll begin to seek for help. What's the one thing you want to say to many of us out there, both men and women, that might have to go back to this program and listen? What will you want to say to them if they've gone through childhood trauma? And I know we're talking about childhood trauma, but maybe somebody is going through the trauma of divorce, or the trauma of losing a loved one, whatever. Plus, some people have childhood trauma, then they have other types of traumas. But anyway, what do you want to say to someone out there tonight?
Okay, I would just like to say that if you feel like you're experiencing trauma in any sort, 'cause you know within yourself that something is not right, don't keep it to yourself. Seek help. Seek professional help, as I said, from either a therapist. Talk to somebody. Don't keep it to yourself, because the longer you keep it to yourself is the longer it stores, and then it becomes problematic. So don't keep it to yourself. The earlier you deal with it, is the quicker you can recover and then move on, and you can live a life of fulfillment, which is what we are called to do. We are called to live a life of fulfillment, and that is what I'm sharing my story, because I don't want people to suffer in silence like I did. I don't know why I didn't talk about share my experiences for so long, because sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you don't know that there's an issue there until you find that certain areas of your life become disruptive, like your relationships, your
Wow.
workplace. You're very emotional. You're like an emotional roller coaster. So don't keep it to yourself. If you feel like you're going through trauma and you've got some past issues that need dealing with, speak to somebody. There's lots of help that you can get. And and then I wish you all the best. That's all I have to say. You're done.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for speaking out. Thank you. I believe you have delivered many. And you know what? Even for those of us who are parents, let's be mindful of our actions around our children and the words that we speak. Let's avoid the negativity, because we need to make sure our children don't encounter any form of trauma, whether it's a silent one or an active one, that we ourselves, we are not able to lay our hands on until even they've grown and they've left us, and it's catching up with them, many years ahead of them. So please, well, thank you so much. I wanted us to touch on something. I love your skin. I know you do quite a lot of things, but I know you did say you were a beauty expert. So um, you are. I know you're an influencer. Yes. So at the moment, what are you doing? What are you doing at the moment with regards to beauty?
Well, at the moment, I'm not really. I mean, I've got some things that I've got in the pipeline. Sometimes we're at the back of the scenes. We're working on things. So I'm working on different things. So I'm coming up with things all the time. But if you want, I mean, I sell lipsticks as well, so you can
Yeah.
find that. You can
Let's have a look at that. I think
Yeah.
we have some of her beautiful promotions. So at the moment, you are a promoter of this
Yes,
of
I'm
this
more.
product.
Yeah.
Zamot. Wow. Beautiful shades of lipsticks. I can see there. So for people that are in London, you can support Lady Flo by going to this website, and you can also consult her. I'm sure you can reach people and give consultation
Yes.
some people struggle to match colors and
Mhm.
for the kind of products, and some people react as well to products, so they might want to find out what's in the particular product and stuff. I was just having a look at all your, I went down digging. I went down digging. It will be nice. Samox Real. Yes, that was one of your chats that you organized. Well, this is you here, testing all your lipsticks so professionally done. It's amazing. The reason why we are doing this, it is to encourage us, ladies and gentlemen. It is to encourage us that all is not lost. In the process of her healing, she found something to do. She's a professional. It means we can't sit down and allow, there is God's purpose for our lives, and we cannot allow that past to come and override. There is a place we need to get to so that we can have what you call a cutoff point. So please, I'm encouraging us tonight, wherever you might have time, to bump back into this video, to watch, childhood trauma. You can come out of it. You can come out of it. You are not alone. You are not alone. You can come out of childhood trauma. So please do seek help. Make your journal. Start working on things. Whatever you need to do to help yourself so that you can become a better person. So that next time we will be sharing your own story, bringing many others out. And just to let you know that you are not on your own. You are not alone. Help is available. Parents, let's watch out for our children also. Thank you so much, Lady Florence, for joining me tonight. What a privilege. I think you should put this in a book. But anyway, that's for another day. I really pray that the Lord will bless you. The Lord will continue to use you to minister to a lot of people that are going through, they are badly hurt, they are badly injured, they are wounded emotionally, physically. Father, that the Lord will use you to reach out to many in the name of Jesus. Amen. I release grace over your life. You will excel in grace, in speech, in wisdom by the special grace of God. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, viewers. Thank you, Lady Florence. God bless you. Thank you for joining us tonight. I will catch up with you. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you so much, viewers. Thank you for joining me today. Wow, it just felt like I was in a therapy session as well. Well, thank you so much. Just to let you know that be reminded, if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If I've been a blessing to you, subscribe to my YouTube channel and share the chats, so that others can be a blessing. Also, I will really appreciate your reviews. I have 600 people on this platform. Please do leave a review for me. That will really, really help my page for all the services I've provided through the years. Obviously, it's been very active this time around. But please, I will appreciate your reviews on the wall. Again, if you would like to have a copy of my book, Don't Judge Me, I'm a single parent. It is here for you. Please get your copy from Amazon, or you can get it from me. Also, right? Thank you so very much for joining us today. It's really been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate you. It takes a lot to come and to encourage people to come out and share their stories. And some of the things we are talking about, it is affecting us. It is affecting a lot of us. So please, let's not sit down. There is more to life. I went through trauma. I was traumatized. I lost my husband, then I lost my auntie that was closer to me like him. I didn't even have space to mourn them. Then not long after that, my mom that I was hanging on to, my mom passed away. Oh my days. I'm still going through the healing process. The thing about acceptance, I had to accept that was the situation. And that's how my healing started. So it's a journey. Life itself is a journey on its own. So thank you once again. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate you. I pray that we will all have a very, very blessed week. I pray that you will prosper. Yes, the works of your hands shall prosper by the special grace of God. Well, till then, God bless you and have a blessed week ahead. Thank you. God bless you, everyone. God bless you.